Hey everybody, today we're going to be making yeast rolls, and I'm not a really good baker, but my family and I love yeast rolls, and I thought I would give it a try. And I have a recipe that I started out using, and then I've tweaked it just a little bit, and it's perfect for my family, and I hope that y'all like it too. And it doesn't involve a lot of ingredients. There's not too many steps involved, and my family says that they're better than Texas Roadhouse, which is saying a lot. So I am going to use the stand mixer, and you know I did a review on this stand mixer a while back, and since I've had more chance to use it, I really like it. If you're in need of a stand mixer, this one really has been good for me, and so you might want to consider it when you're purchasing yours. And it's ALBOHES is the manufacturer. I can't pronounce that. So let's just go ahead and get started. And I have the mixer here, and there's a whole lot of the hood of the stove there. Maybe that'll work. So the first thing you do is it's half a cup of milk, half a cup of water. Make sure it's room temperature. Make sure it's not too hot, because if it is, you will kill your yeast, and then your dough won't rise. So I have this at room temperature. Just put it on in your bowl, and then to that you add your sugar, and it's 1 cup. I'm using Splenda simply because I am out of white sugar. You probably could use brown sugar, but I'm just using Splenda. So you put those two together, and I just use my measuring cup and stir it around. If you're using white sugar, cane sugar, you'll want to make sure that you get that good and dissolved. And so you do that. Then you take your yeast, and you can use 1 packet, or I buy this little container, and it takes 2.5 teaspoons. So I'm gonna put that in. And I'm going to give it a good stir. And what we do now is just let this sit until the yeast starts to bubble and foam. Might be about 15 minutes or so. But when that happens, I'll be back and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, the yeast has gotten foamy and looks real good. That took about 10 minutes or so for that to get all foamy, so that looks good. So now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to measure that in my hand. I got this salt at Max's, TJ Maxx. It's called the Original Salt Company, the tastier salt. I haven't noticed that it's any different than any other salt, but I thought you might wonder since you saw that strange package or container it's in. You add 1 egg and about 1/3 of a cup of butter. This butter's soft because it sits out all the time, but if your butter's not soft, you need to soften it up. And so we want to go ahead and mix that up. and that's got it mixed up. And now I'm using bread flour, and it has worked real well for me. Just regular old bread flour. And it calls for 3.5 cups, but what I do is I add 3.5 or so, and if the dough is pulling away from the bottom of the pan, then or the bowl, then I know it's ready. But if it's not, I keep adding little by little until the dough pulls away. And also it'll kind of want to stick along the side of the bowl, so I use a little spatula and I go in and kind of push it down. Just keep it sliding along the side of the bowl and don't get it into your beater. And it looks like all I've got is about enough for one more container. Also, something you can do is take, like, you know, those kind of flimsy cutting boards they have at Dollar Tree. You can take one of those and put it along the side and let your flour slide in. I'm going to use the lid to the flour thing because I don't have one of those. And or this looks like it might work better, this right here, and let my flour slide into there, because it's hard to do it without making a mess if you don't use something to put your to help your flour get directed into the bowl. Did that make sense? Anyway, we're going to go ahead now and put about 3.5 or so cups of flour. Okay, I still made a big old mess, but that's okay. And go ahead and raise this up. Take your dough off your hook. And here we have a really nice dough for our yeast rolls. It smells so good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to knead it. So I'm going to have to try to push everything back. And I am just about out of flour. Had just enough. So, okay, I've got my flour on the countertop. And you want to knead this real good. Just, I push my palm of my hand into the dough. That's how my mama taught me to knead when I was much younger. So we're just going to knead this up. If yours gets a little sticky, just add a little bit more flour. And what I do while I'm waiting for that time for the yeast to bubble and foam, I turn the oven on 350 and leave it for a few minutes, and then I cut it off. And that way, when I get to this part, the oven will be warm but not hot. And I put my dough in there to rise. So we have a nice dough ball there. I'm just putting it right back in this bowl that I mixed it in. I'm going to take a kitchen towel and cover it. I'm going to put it in the oven for, or wherever you have that you think is a warm temperature for yours, for 45 minutes. And when that time's up, we'll come back. The yeast roll dough has finished rising, and it fills about half of a bowl. So what I'm going to do is just punch it down. And now we are going to make our yeast rolls. So the way I do it is I gather up the dough. It comes away from the side of the pan real easy. And I just take these two fingers and I get behind it and give it a good squeeze. And I come out with a yeast ball, or a yeast dough ball, and then I put it on my pan. And you want to get these the same size, or pretty much the same, and that one's not. I think I'm going to take a little bit from this one, maybe not have them quite so big. And I'm putting it on a nice long baking sheet, and I'm not real good about judging to get them the same, but this usually makes 18. And I put them like that, and then I'll put them, you know, stagger them so that they have room to rise. And I just keep on until I have all the dough used, and I'll go ahead and try to hurry and do that so you can see. And while I meant to already do this, set your oven for 375 so that you can go ahead and have these ready to, well, what they're going to do is rise for about 10 minutes more, but your oven will be ready when they rise 10 minutes more. And I'll tell you also, you're going to cover these for that 10 minutes, and don't use a heavy kitchen towel. Use one that is very lightweight, or use some cheesecloth or something like that so that you don't, so that it doesn't make your yeast rolls fall. That happened to me a while back, and they just looked terrible. They tasted good, but they looked terrible. It's a little dark spot. So this is kind of fun to squeeze it and all that. As you know, it doesn't take a whole lot for me to entertain me. And these really are delicious yeast rolls. Well, it looks like I'm a little bit short this time. One short of having 18, but that's okay. So here they are. I'm going to use this lightweight kitchen towel, and I'm going to cover them and let them sit about 10 minutes, and when we come back, we will get them a little melted butter on the top and get them put in the oven. Our yeast rolls have finished cooking, and they look so pretty, and they smell so good. So this is them. I forgot to video putting melted butter on them and sticking them in the oven, but anyway, they're very light and fluffy. I'll tear it open so you can see the inside. And I will give it a taste for you. Let me put the camera up. They're really hot. That is so good. If you had a little honey butter like Texas Roadhouse does, that would be good, or just plain butter, or just like they are. They are so delicious. So I hope that y'all will give them a try and enjoy them. They're really simple to make, and almost foolproof, I feel like. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.